Today we are talking about how to prove you're not just there for sex so you can continue to get sex. So here's the thing, guys. There's going to become a point in your dating journey. If you become good at being able to date women and talk to them and attract them, there's going to come a point where you're going to be able to hook up with girls really, really fast. I'm talking like first date, second date, third date. It's going to happen, right? Now, early on in most women's dating journey, what typically happens is that the men that they hook up with become attached way too soon. And then next thing the girl knows, she's feeling kind of weird. Like, yeah, they had a hookup, but now because they had a hookup, the guy's assuming that they must be in a relationship. She gets freaked out. She gets scared away. And then she loses the guy, right? But if you've been actively studying my stuff or other people's stuff, you know that women take 2 to 3 months to solidify their feelings. So what that means is that you're not going to let a hookup with a woman make you think that you're now at a relationship level. You're going to be thinking, okay, the hookup was just part of the experience of getting to know her, and I still have to do my due diligence. I still have to date her, take her out, but like, this is good. We're hooking up, but like, I can't assume that I'm in a relationship right away, right? That's the good part. But here's the interesting thing, right? Is that because women are used to guys trying to be clingy to them, when you're not trying to suddenly be overly clingy or overly text them after a hookup, they're going to start thinking in their head, that's interesting. He's not like the other guys in that he's not trying to get me into a relationship right away. Interesting. But now I'm not used to this, and it feels kind of weird because most guys are wanting a relationship right away. This guy doesn't, but shouldn't he want a relationship? Wait a minute. If he's not asking me for a relationship right now, could this possibly mean that the only reason that he's continuing to see me is because he wants to hook up? Now, I know it's a weird logical thought to get to, right? But think about it. If women are used to having guys try to get them into a relationship after 1 or 2 hookups and you don't, then the logical emotional conclusion she's coming to is that you must just be there for the hookup, right? And so you might be hooking up with a girl and you're like mid-stroke, you're midway, she's on top of you, and she might just suddenly stop and be like, wait a minute, I have a question for you. Like, is this just about the hookup? Are we just doing this so you can have sex with me? Like, do you actually care about me? Like, whatever, right? And I know this because what I'm describing to you right now has actually happened to me before, where I've literally like been in the midst of stuff and then woman will just be like, after like 2 or 3 hookups, hey, wait a minute, like, are you just in this for the hookup? Like, what's going on? Now, a inexperienced guy would try to do what most guys do, which is either backpedal or try to overly convince this woman that they're not about the hookup life. Oh, no, that wouldn't be me. I'm not just in the hookup. And then they shoot themselves in the foot because I've said time and time again that women don't need you to hear how you emotionally feel about them. But what happens when guys get asked this question is they think, okay, in order to prove to her that I'm not just in this for the sex, I now have to overly verbalize how much I care about her and feel about her, even if it's only been like 1 or 2 hookups, which accounts to like maybe 4 or 5 dates at most. So the guy will go, oh, no, it's not like that. I really care for you. And in fact, I already feel myself falling in love with you and I can see a future with you, blah, 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 thinking that that's what she wants to hear in order to go through with the hookup. And these guys, if they're anything like me, when they do that, the result typically is they try to hit up the girl a week or so later for another date, and suddenly she's no longer interested. But why is that? Why is the woman pulling away when you've proven to her that you're not in this just for the hookup? Well, a few reasons. For one, she doesn't believe you. And number 2 is because she did not ask that question as a way of trying to get you to like out yourself and your feelings for her. All right. She in her head was just like, I feel as though I could potentially be getting used right now. And I just don't want that to be a thing that's happening. So I'm trying to ask this guy if he's in it for this because I just need some assurance that even if we're just in the dating realm of things, that he's seeing me as a potential viable candidate for a long-term relationship and not just for these short-term hookups or situationships, right? So with that said, here's the thing, guy, is that ultimately as a man, it is your job to understand, again, how women are going to feel about things, and then understand the most powerful tool that you have in your arsenal in order to turn this around. Because it's not about having to vocalize how you feel about her or trying to overly convince her that that's not what you're about, right? But what it is about you doing certain actions that will, A, unequivocally make her realize that it's not just about sex, and B, will allow her to get back on the train of wanting to continue to give you hookups. All right. And with that said, I'm bringing back an old segment and an old friend to help us out.
Kevin Samuels was right. Kevin Samuels was right. Kevin Samuels was right.
Yes, RIP to the late and great Kevin Samuels. But he had a TikTok I saw this week that I think really, really better puts into frame how you as a guy need to be showing up at all times when it comes to women and hooking up with them. Let's listen to the late, great Kevin Samuels talk about it.
In order to be a high-value man, you must exercise sexual discipline. Sexual discipline is one of the most critical areas to where men who could be high value have ruined themselves. What does that mean? You got kids everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids by 4 women. You're not high value. Oh, we're going there tonight. That's why I say people who are music, athletics, or entertainment are not automatically put in a high value category because their money comes differently. Number one, and number two, because so many of them tend to lack sexual discipline.
That's right. Kevin Samuels is absolutely right. The biggest thing that you can do in order to have more control in your relationships and to be able to show women that you are not fazed by them is to have sexual discipline. Thank you, Mr. Samuels. We miss you greatly. So here's the thing, guy, is that you need to show women that your level of sexual discipline is high enough and better than hers to where sex being on the table does not faze you, whether it's there or not. And the easiest way that you can do that, quite honestly, is to preemptively take away your sexual attention. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to go into 3 different ways that you can do this. But here's the thing, guy. You got to understand that ultimately, the reason that taking away your sexual attention works is because women, as part of their ego, need to feel as though they are needed by men and that men desire them and their beauty and their sexuality, right? And so the conundrum that women are going to have is this, is that they're telling you, hey, are you just using me for this hookup? I don't want this to just be about sex, right? But when you remove sexual attention from the table, now there's a problem. The problem is, one, she's not getting the hookup anymore, which if it was really good, she's like, what the heck's going on? But also is that by you taking away your sexual attention, you're actually taking away attention to her beauty, attention to her sexuality that she needs in order to fully feel like a feminine woman, in order to feel desired. So you're thinking she wants sex completely off the table, but she does not. Because if sex is completely off the table, how is she going to know from you that you desire her in that way physically? All right. So this isn't about her trying to get rid of having sex with you, but it is about trying to feel more assured that that's not all that she's being used for. All right. So this is why doing a takeaway of your sexual attention is such a powerful move, because it unequivocally says to a woman, A, you're in control of your sexual urges, and at B, if not her, possibly somebody else. All right. So with that said, how do you do that? How do you take away your sexual attention in order for her to get back on the track? Because you're thinking, if you're a good guy, you're thinking sex can be a part of us getting to know each other. This isn't about me trying to just be about sex. But again, you could try to argue with a woman all day. Oh no, it's not about that, this and that. All she's gonna think is like, yeah, so all the guys say in order to try to get in my pants. You're verbalizing, it's not about that for you. You have these feelings, yada, yada, yada. How many times has the guy told me that and I fell for it and then he was just about that? Not gonna work, right? So I always tell you, you cannot try to argue or talk a woman out of her feeling that way, right? So with that said, here are the actions, though, that you can do as a means of sexual takeaway that will get her back to being like, okay, my bad, let's do the thing, right? Here we go. So the first one is tell her that you can outweight her. For example, let's say she says, oh, I like to typically wait for at least a month or so before I hook up with a guy. Do not panic. Do not be like, oh, a month, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Again, you need to show her that you have sexual discipline and that you're indifferent to what she wants in terms of like the time frame, right? So if she says to you, I think we should wait a month, you come back with, well, I mean, we could wait 2 months if you want, or 3 months. Like, I don't care. I can outwait you. Now, what's interesting is I've actually done this before, where like a woman was like, on our second date, she's like, oh, just just because you're coming to my apartment doesn't mean we're going to do things. And my response is like, I was a virgin until I was 23. Like, and you were a virgin to when? Like 17? Like, I can outweight you. I can outweight you and it is not a problem. And what I found that did is that we went to her place, we did nothing. Third date, got a little more frisky, blah, blah. By the fifth date, hooking up. Why? Because I legitimately showed her like, hey, I'm not going to push the agenda. Like, I can outweight you. So if you're feeling though you need like a month or two, I need 3 months. What's that? And you'll find that women really do tell themselves. When you tell them some crap like that, they tell themselves, because I've literally had women be like, no, well, I mean, we could, so your timeline is arbitrary is what you're saying. That's interesting. So how about we just go with like, when we both feel like we want to do that thing, then we can just do it. But the point is like, I'll put out there that I can outweight them, because I'm going to show them early on that I have enough discipline to wait however long it's going to take for her to feel comfortable. So that's the first way. The second way to do a sexual takeaway is that, let's say you've already been hooking up with the girl, right? Third time hooking up, midway through, she's like, I don't know if we should keep doing this, or blah, 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 blah. I've literally told women to their face. I've said, well, if you want, we can just stop hooking up. Like, no, we can still date and still go out and do whatever, but like, we just take sex off the table for now. Like, we just don't have to do it. Now, again, I'm not saying I don't want sex from her, but what I am proposing to her is that I am now willing right now to not do this thing that we're currently doing as a means of showing you that I don't actually need it to still try to get to know you. And that's really what women are actually trying to feel for, is that you're trying to get to know her. Now, again, in my head, if sex just happens to be a part of that, that's absolutely fantastic. But I also tell women, hey, you know what? If it's making you feel kind of weird, or if you're questioning the fact that I'm here to see you and not just for the hookup, let's take it off the table. Again, the reaction I've gotten from women when I've said, let's just stop hooking up. Oh no, okay, we don't have to go that far. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were just, why? Because all the other guys who would have told that to would have been like, why are we going to stop sex? But you're teasing me and you're playing games, blah, 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 blah. I don't take it as the game. I know that women's emotions are in ebb and flows. And then so in this moment, she was feeling as though maybe I was using her for sex. Or she doesn't know me that well. Admittedly, it's been like 3 or 4 dates. So how could she know what this really is all about? And so she might have had a moment of insecurity. I understand that. So let me just take that insecurity away. Boom, not there anymore. All of a sudden, now it's instead of like me forcing her to do this thing or feeling like she's obligated to because we're dating, now it's like, it goes back to being her choice. And most of the time, if you're giving it to a woman good, her choice is going to be, I actually want to do that thing. I just wanted to make sure you weren't. So yeah, that's the second move, is that you can literally just, in the midst of hooking up, just be like, or she's talking to you one day at a restaurant. So, I just want to know if we're just doing this to be hookup pals or whatever this is and that. Again, don't go trying to spout feelings. Don't go trying to be like, I love you. Just be like, well, let's just take it off the table. And say it with a serious, straight face. And you should actually mean that crap, because again, you should be doing your due diligence anyway, but you should be legitimately getting to know her in various other ways. So again, if the hooking up thing becomes an issue for her, take it off the table. We can keep dating just like we don't hook up. And then watch her like jump your bones so hard later on. Be like, I just changed my mind. Do. Anyway, that's the second way. The third way to do the sexual takeaway is this. If she starts saying she wants to stop, just stop. This goes from the making out phase all the way to the hookup phase. So for example, let's say you guys are on the couch and you're like in the throes of passion. You're making out with her. It's feeling good. You start to put your hand down her, like taking off her shirt. That starts to feel good to her. And then you try to go for like some of the deeper areas. And she's like, no. I think we should stop. This is the move, guys. All right. So you're on the couch, you're making out. She's like, I think we should stop. Be like, okay, click, right to the TV. Just like an instant stop, an instant pause, because she's not used to any guy being able to legitimately stop himself when he's in the throes of passion. I don't care if she's on top of you grinding, she's taking off her pants, all of a sudden you're about to go in, she's like, oh no, I think we should wait. Okay, back to the TV. That is such a powerful move that shows off to women that you are in total control of your sexual urges, and that her being flippy floppy isn't going to throw you off your game. And that move is so powerful to women that they almost don't know what to do with themselves. It's just like, he was just able to stop, like, oh my God, like maybe he's not just all about sex. Maybe he legitimately wants to be, like, it's amazing what it'll do, right? So all this to say this, guys, is that when women are coming to you and you're dating them and they're saying things like, they're insecure in the moment. They're thinking like, he might be using me. And so I gotta know what's just up. And she's like, well, I don't know if like, are you just blah, 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 blah. Just remove all of her doubts right away. Show her that you are sexually disciplined, and show her that, it's going to be, when you first try this, it's going to be hard. You have to have in your head, there's a chance here that I'm going to say, let's not do some stuff. and she's not going to want to do anything. And that could happen. And it's in her right. Hey, if she decides last minute for whatever reason that the situation is just not gelling with her and she's not feeling it in the moment, she has every right to say, you know what? I know I was want to do stuff, but I just don't feel it. And most girls will be like, I'm just so sorry. You gotta be like, no, I'm not sorry. Hey, get some popcorn, let's watch some TV. Like it is what it is. Hey, maybe next time, maybe not. Either way, I'm just here to have a good time. I'm here to get to know you in whatever capacity that means. If we hook up in the process of that, fantastic. If we don't, you got some TV and some food, fantastic. But you can't let it look like it bothers you. That's the main thing, is that women will throw this out there sometimes because they're legitimately insecure. Sometimes it's a test because, again, women go through a lot of crap when they're dating. I know there's a lot of content out there today talking about, oh, women are crap, this and that. But women across the board have a legitimate reason to be slightly questioning of guys, because they've had guys that have used them for sex before, guys that have used them for money, you guys that have, taken their emotions for granted, all this other stuff, right? So if she starts dating you and you're new stimuli, you're an actual legitimately nice guy who she happens to hook up with, and she's thinking, he's nice to me and he's hooking up with me and the hookup's good, like, I don't want to risk this. I need to know now if this is just about sex or this and that. And she starts throwing those questions out. Understand, women have been through a lot of crap. So some women are going to just legitimately ask you that. Some women are going to test you to see how you're going to react, because most guys, when they try to stop sex, are going to be a-holes about it and be like, oh, how dare you play games? So she does that to you, and your simple response is like, okay, TV, okay, whatever. Like, that's going to be a better response. And it's more likely to get her out of her head and allow her to then continue with the hookup. It's a weird trick. I get it. But again, I've tried this before. Trust me. If you're talking to a woman and she's like, I don't think we should do some stuff, and you pull away that sexual attention, that's basically putting you in control of when this is going to happen. And it's also telling her, but I don't need this to still get to know you. And sometimes that's all the proof that women actually need in order to continue with the hookup. So hopefully, guys, this helps you guys out.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.